Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Constitution Workshop for New Clubs. My name is Troy Feldman. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am the graduate coordinator for clubs and organizations here in the Department of Student Engagement and Activities. I am a higher education administration master's student. And let's get started. This workshop is for you to learn about how to write your constitution for the new club and organization process. So we'll start with our new club and organization process requirements. A lot of these requirements you've already completed if you have done step 1 of the process. So first, you need at least 10 general body members. Those members do not include your e-board. Your executive board would be the core 4, which are the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. So those are the core 4 that you need, and then any additional executive board positions will be put into your constitution if you so please. And they will be reviewed to make sure that the roles make sense. You will need your constitution, which is what we're going to go into more detail about today. You need a general club email address. Make sure you're always checking that club email address. That is where we will send most of our communications to. And also, if your email address has to change, let us know so that we can change it in our systems and that we're not emailing the wrong email address. The growth and sustainability plan and the statement of purpose is what you had to do in step 1. That should already be completed. The statement of purpose should be the same statement that is in your constitution. And then you have your faculty staff advisor, who has to be a Stony Brook community professional faculty or staff member. And they are different from your program advisor. So you'll have a faculty staff advisor and you will have a program advisor. The program advisor would be someone like me from the Department of Student Engagement and Activities. Not necessarily me, but just someone from this department. More information about this whole process can be found at the link below, which I will put into the chat. It's here. This gives you all the process. Okay. So next up is the timeline for the process. So first you have to gather all of your requirements, which includes everything we just talked about. Then you're going to submit the registration on SB Engaged. You're going to do your e-board forms, and everyone has to accept the terms and conditions. Each individual must accept these terms and conditions, and you cannot accept for somebody else. Make edits and resubmit if needed. It is okay to get denied during this process. We will tell you why you are denied, and you can make any edits that were specified and resubmit the submission. Then you get approved. Then you have to attend a mandatory new club workshop. That new club workshop is different from this workshop. It is mandatory for 2 members from your organization to attend once they have been approved. And then you have to re-register the organization for the upcoming year. By the way, if you have any questions throughout this whole presentation, just put them in the chat or just unmute and you can ask right ahead, totally fine. Any questions? Okay, let's continue. So the Constitution overview. The Constitution essentially provides a foundation for your organization. It clarifies the purpose. It defines the structure and functions of your organization and all of the roles in your organization, the executive board roles, the roles of meetings, elections, all that. It's really helpful when conflict arises. If there are issues or questions, you can always refer to your constitution. For example, if an e-board member wants to step down from their position, you can refer to your constitution to see what the process is for having a special election or something like that. And it is basically a contract between you, your e-board, your general body, and the university. And the link here is to the model constitution, which is what you'll be following when you're writing your own constitution. Any questions? So now let's get into our required constitution items. All of these items are found in the model constitution as well. But let's just quickly go over them. So first you have Article 1, which is your name. This should be the proposed name for your organization, as well as any abbreviation of the name that will be used moving forward. For example, the Vietnamese Student Association would write that their name is Vietnamese Student Association, and also VSA, which is their abbreviation. Article 2 is the purpose. This section should clearly define the purpose and mission of your proposed organization. And you must also include the anti-hazing statement, which will be in the model. And this purpose should really be what you wrote in step 1 for your statement of purpose, with any changes that were needed. And then Article 3 is about membership. You must select the primary type of student membership you wish to have, either undergraduate or graduate, and then copy the required bullets listed. Choosing your type of membership, whether undergrad or graduate, it does not mean that undergraduate organizations can not have graduate student members and vice versa. You absolutely can have grad student members in undergrad orgs and undergrad members in grad orgs. You will be able to add additional requirements for active membership for voting purposes, which you will see in the model as well. Article 4 is about the executive board. General requirements must include predetermined GPA requirements dependent on the type of organization membership. So that would be 2.25, at least a 2.25 for undergrads and at least a 3.0 for grads. Organizations must have at minimum a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer positions. Those are the core 4 that I mentioned earlier. And these are the default duties for all 4 roles. The description of duties for all e-board members should be listed here. Those are the default duties, and any extra duties that you add into the Constitution will be reviewed to make sure they make sense. Article 5 is about meetings. You need to specify how often the group will meet, no more than once weekly, but do not specify the time, date, or location. This keeps your meetings flexible as dates, times, and locations are subject to change based on availability. And then finally, quorum, which is the amount of active members needed to vote on club matters, should also be listed in this section, and that is all in the model. Are there any questions about these 5 items? Awesome. Okay, let's continue. So Article, I should say Article 6, sorry. Article 6 is about elections. You can choose to follow the sample election process or create your own. If you create your own process, it will be reviewed to make sure it makes sense. A date for when elections are completed must be added, as well as the date which new officers take office. You should be mindful of semester end dates, finals week. You don't want to be having elections when everyone's trying to study and take their exams. Also, you should consider a transition period for the e-board to change, where new e-board members can maybe shadow or learn from outgoing ones to learn what their roles are. You really don't want an extended period of time where the old officers have left office and then there's no officers for us to contact or to be handling the club's situation. Okay. Okay, Article 7 about impeachment. You can choose to follow the sample impeachment process or create your own. If you are creating your own process, again, it will be reviewed, and be sure to have checks and balances to guide the process, and we will make sure that the process makes sense. You should also make sure that the succession process is in line with what is listed in each position's duties. The succession process is basically if the president, let's say the president is impeached, who becomes president. Sometimes it's the vice president, is whatever is listed in your constitution. Next, we have Article 8 about amendments. You can choose to follow the sample constitution amendment process, or you can, again, create your own, which will be reviewed. Amendments should be made through a democratic voting process, including the general membership of the group. This is to make sure that the officers can't just make changes to the Constitution without getting the approval of their general body, that they don't have some sort of dictatorship over how the club is run. And then finally, we have Article 9 about dissolution. Select the dissolution clause that best fits your proposed organization based on the membership and funding source. Groups that are not USG funded should choose the FSA/TNA dissolution clause. And as you are all new organizations, I'm pretty sure you will not be funded by USG, so you would choose that clause. And dissolution means if your club ends up dissolving and no longer being active. Are there any questions about these items? Yes, Kate.
So in terms of amendments, when an amendment is made and approved by the general body, is it immediately enacted or is there some sort of process?
So once your general body votes and then you make the amendment, you would make the amendment in the Constitution and you would re-upload that Constitution to SB Engaged, where it will be reviewed by your program advisor and then approved if it's all right, or you might be told that you have to make some more edits. Any amendments will be reviewed, just as your Constitution would be. Yes, Hugo.
Hey, so you said that, so like, let's say, for example, I just want to put something just a hypothetical example. If, considering that we're going to just be like, let's say we get approved, right? And then we're doing the first year and we make it to spring, and then we want to hold we wanted to hold like elections this spring, but since it's the first year in the club and like we say like a term limit for like a e-board member is like 1 academic year, would we have to, like, let's say for me as president, would I have to hold those elections and then I would be out, like not continue on to like the next year, or would we skip the voting process just for like the first semester?
I think for the e-board, the time that e-board members can be on the e-board is more of like a maximum amount of time that they can serve. So I think the election process would take precedent over the amount of time an e-board member can serve. So if you have elections in spring, which is what usually occurs, that would take precedence over when the e-board member would leave office. So you should have the election still in spring, and whoever becomes a new e-board becomes a new e-board. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. So in the model, you're going to see some bracketed information with like brackets around it. There'll be a lot of red writing, something that people get denied for, that they have to make edits in their constitution, is they will submit their constitution including all of that. So make sure you remove any red writing, anything that's in brackets. Please do not submit just the model constitution. That has happened before as well. So questions, any last questions? Okay. Oh, Katie.
I was also curious, what are the consequences for executive boards violating their constitutions?
So if someone brings it up, so obviously you know your constitution better than we do. So if someone is violating the constitution and someone within the organization calls them out on it, you can refer to the constitution to say, hey, look at this article. This is what you're supposed to be doing, and this is what you're not doing. And if the conflict is either unresolved based on that, if it continues, you can always come to us, the department, which you can find our contact information right here. But hopefully the Constitution allows you to resolve any conflicts that might come up, such as situations like that.